This is a good question. What would smartphones be like in 5 to 10 years? It's time to let our imagination run wild.
Hey, you see I'm missing VVS's, don't forget about it. You see I'm dripping VVS, they can't forget about it. You know I'm facing on a bitch.
What is the deal, beautiful people? It's your boy Ramon, Lifestyles Defined. Welcome back to another episode of AMA. If you're new here, how this works, you ask your question in the comment section down below, and we answer it in upcoming videos. Today's question from Rokas, and he asks, or he says, I've got 2 possible questions for future videos. Welcome to the future, sir. What form factor do you think will replace smartphones as our main mobile computing device, and why? It's a good question. Maybe powerful glasses with augmented reality or virtual reality or something else. Number 2, what kind of progress and main changes do you see in smartphones in the next 5 to 10 years? All right, so the first question, these are very good questions, actually. The first question is the form factor. I don't see form factor changing. I mean, I see things getting thinner and lighter, and I'm talking across the board, right? Like, I feel like we're going to get to a place where that whole cloud thing is going to be very real, and computing power can be offered through a bandwidth, which would be your connection to the outside world. So you don't need this whole big tower in front of you. You'll have this one super thin monitor, right? And that one super thin monitor will resemble your one super thin device, portable connection to that same cloud that you walk around with. And I feel like that's where computing will be. I mean, in today's world, if you look at it, a lot of computing, I would argue, most of the computing, consumer computing anyway, that's done is done on a phone. And I know people don't view applying a Snapchat filter as computing, but that's computing. Commenting on Facebook, that's computing. Watching this video on YouTube, that's computing. And I don't really see the form factors changing. We may see some gender bending things like a Surface Pro, where it's like a laptop with a touchscreen, but I don't think that ever gets any better or different. You know, you're still going to have something with a portable keyboard. You're still going to have something that sits on a desk with much more space. And then you're always going to have something that goes in your pocket. But I like your part about the glasses. I think that will be a big part of the future, is these, not VR, but augmented reality, which is why I've long said that Microsoft's got it figured out with the HoloLens versus like the Vive and the Oculus. I think a lot about the promise of the Oculus. I'm sorry, of the HoloLens and augmented reality is a real thing, and we're seeing Apple ramping up, and you know, we're gonna see this in the next version of the iPhone. It's gonna be a big deal, and it's already iOS and yada yada yada. But yeah, I feel like we'll be walking around in the world in 5 to 10 years where our glasses gives us information about everything we're looking at. And I think a lot of that will be probably not powered by the glass itself, but it'll be an extension of the UI we'll get from our phones. So it's a synergy of your phone plus your glass, your smart device, your watch, you know, your smartwatch, and these things, they all come together to just give you this information that you didn't even know you needed. It might be information overload at that time when we get there, but I think that's really where the future is heading, and I think it's less to do with form factor and more so to do with that off-cycle computing. You know, that's going to be a very big deal. In terms of the progress that we're going to make with smartphones, I don't expect, again, the form factor to change much, but I don't expect the raw power to change much either in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, if you look at it, we've been at 3 gigahertz processors for a long time. I mean, how much more can you go? How much farther do you want to go? It's at this point, it's about software innovation, and a lot of that's going to happen in the cloud. I think we're going to be in a world where there's a huge amount of bandwidth and processing power is allocated to understanding you as a person and learning your habits and regurgitating that as proactive information, like, you know, it's time to go to work, turn on the smart car, warm up the car, order the breakfast, it's gonna rain, make sure you dispense an umbrella, you know, like things like that, like have the happy birthday mom email drafted up 2 days ahead of time. Like I feel like that's where smartphones are going to change a lot of what Google Now does and Cortana does, where it's giving you suggestions to junctures in your day before you get there, and that's going to turn into providing solutions to problems before you have it. You know, we see some of that with the Echo, where we know this person usually orders toilet paper on the 3rd of every month. Well, when the first comes, place that order automatically and have it there before they even ask. You know, things like that, I think is where the future is going to go. I think the way we use a smartphone and we rely on the smartphone for its power and more RAM, I think a lot of that's going to go away as the pipelines, the bandwidths get better. A lot of that stuff's going to be moved off of the device itself, the processing power, and that's going to allow things to get a lot slimmer, a lot smaller, a lot more sleek. But that's just the way I see it. And I think it's going to be a dope mix of those things, that a lot of that synergy between your desktop at home, and, you know, it knows when you're coming home, turn on the light, and it knows when you're leaving the house, transfer that email that you were reading over to the phone so you can see it in your glasses. I think a lot of that is where the future comes together, or how I would like to see it. How would you like to see it? A lot of you guys have some really dope concepts. I think this is a question that we've gotten in the past. So hit the comment section below and let everyone else know what would be your concept of a smartphone in 10 years and what features they would have in your stance on augmented reality. My name is Ramon. I hope you liked the video. Hit the like button if you did. Don't forget to subscribe. Plenty more content coming. I am out of here. Peace.